The day is December 13th, 2024, and as a complete moron I usually am, I began looking around for games just for fun, and eventually I checked the gracious, the glorious, Humble Bundle. Humble Bundle is one of the best sites for just obtaining so many games at just a great, cheap price, and I wouldn't have discovered it if it wasn't for Pokey and his YouTube video game sales and how to cheat the system. So thank you for the video, and I would say go check out his channel right now, like right this second. I will threaten you. So while looking around on Humble Bundle, I did find something very, very worthwhile. Metrovania Mania. For 12 bucks, I could obtain 7 Metrovania games, with those being 9 Years of Shadow, Axiom Verge 1 and 2, Cookie Cutter, Ghost Song, Death's Gambit Afterlife, and The Night Witch. So I decided while purchasing it, and to help trick my brain into buying it, I had decided to make a series out of this. Because why not? I'm going to play every game from within the bundle, hopefully within a nice, reasonable time. For this round, I decided to tackle The Night Witch, a game with 27 achievements and a rating of mostly positive on Steam. A Metrovania that is very different from the standard Metrovania games that we all know and love. Bug Knight, Dark Souls, Bloodstained Waifu, and Tall Hat. Since we have the power of creative mode, while also being a bullet hell thrown to the pot. But we'll get more into it later into the video, so with that, let's start some sorcery. And of course, before the video truly begins, there will be spoilers, and if you're still here after that warning, then may God have mercy on your soul. We open the game with some lore, explaining how an entire planet could have died 14 years ago, from the actions of a single banner that everyone was unified under. The House of God, please make sure I get this correct, Dai. This planet used to thrive and flourish, but eventually resources started to become few and far apart, resulting in the Dagadai family having to do unspeakable actions. But of course, this would not go without any resistance, a resistance named the Children of Gaia. Their plan was to save the planet while also creating the Night Witches, using their trust as a form of strength to enhance the witches with unspeakable power. With the people's decisions, they made 4 Night Witches, named with 100% accuracy, and should not totally fact-check me on this: One Eye, Angry and Screaming, Will Steal Your Snacks, and Religion if they went into sorcery. But with their powers and abilities, the Night Witches fought for the sake of their planet and absolutely swept the enemies like throwing children into pits of snakes. But this is where we get introduced to the mechanic of the game. The straight up ability to just fly, which feels powerful. The ability to also blast enemies full of bullets, and the main combat mechanic, the spell cards. These cards pack full of punch. The higher the mana cost, the more you'll bitch slap your enemies next Monday, while also having to manage how much mana you have left on top of that. With that explained, I encounter the first boss and the root of the planet's destruction, Emperor Erebus, and with the power of the spells, I do this with total ease. Anyway, we ignore that and we reach the present times, where we actually start with the main character named Rene, now living below the surface away from the ever-destroyed surface, while also being a special day, celebrating their success in the war. While celebrations go on around us, we get some insight to our character, learning how that we were almost a part of the group that saved everyone, but is far beyond the past of recovery, so why think on it? But before we can learn some more, we start getting attacked out of nowhere, while the alarms go off telling us to reach the castle for safety. However, since enemies fester everywhere, we first have to reach our house first. It holds all the spells for our survival, but of course on the way we encounter some useless soldiers that need saving, so I do that and we gain something out of it. We start getting some link, essentially a level system. With the more levels we gain, the stronger we become, while also being an achievement needed for full completion. After that encounter, I retrieve the cards needed to fight and I start running to the castle. Ah shit. This is a huge combat scenario. This will happen through the entire game, while also containing 4 achievements, with 2 of them eventually breaking my soul down. But we'll get there eventually. But after that, I take my first steroid plant, which will be one of 6, find my first skeleton, who sells armor. I also never buy armor except for twice through the entire playthrough. But since the video has gone on long enough with no achievement dopamine, I go to the practice palace and obtain Spell Chaos, with the power of random bullshit go, while also casting 10 spells in 10 seconds. We also see One Eye get killed by a boss with my eyes closed. One eye closed. Okay, I'm bad at the game, but my troubles aren't in vain since I do obtain the achievement Marksman for defeating 100 enemies without using auto-aim. Now what's auto-aim? And eventually I do kill it and obtain a card I never use. This will be a common theme, trust me. I also save my first prisoner, which goes towards the Take No Prisoners, requiring me to save 14 people. I find another bony man. After that, I get our first link upgrade and I put it towards the spell side of it. I finally reach the portal, but apparently there's some difficulties with this, so we have to fight long enough till it's restored, so after a quick battle, the portal fixes itself and I reach the castle. We are then summoned for a meeting. I don't know what it's about, something about the main villain and some Night Witches killed earlier. I don't know, I'm running out of dopamine. But we do become a Night Witch in response to all the other witches having gone missing or maybe, dead. Which is pretty sick, but we have to do some introduction to the people of our podcast.
The Earth is actually flat.
After that, I'm tasked to go fix the machine in the Gaia tree, otherwise we'll run out of oxygen. But before I leave, I meet the best character, Lord Yuppie, who has his own currency, 500 of his own coin, which is also needed for the machine behind it for a selection of cards, which is needed for its own achievement, so we'll be here several times. We then also meet Madame Bicata, who will help us in several ways, but mostly money-wise. She has the ability to duplicate our cards, which is sick enough as is, but that's not as cool as the money multiplier. The more cards we give her to do, the more money enemies will drop. But with that, we finally leave it into the forest. While in the region, I get ambushed and complete the fight without getting hit once, obtaining my first Radiant Sun, and getting no hit Knight. This would also be a good time to mention the achievement Untouchable, requiring me to beat all 27 challenges without taking a single hit in them. But I'm saving that headache for my future self. But after that, we reach the problem within the forest, requiring me to obtain 4 separate metal flowers to fix it, and also the nerd who will help us and totally won't betray us in any way. So I just get going. I obtain the second plant, fight another ambush, and this time around obtain the first of many frost moves, which almost acts as the same as a Radiant Sun, except for this is time-based. I must become Sonic and beat the challenge fast enough, which also has its own achievement, so another headache for later, but at least we obtain Speed Witch. But after some more exploration, we meet One Eye. Or at least upon closer inspection, we can see that she's a ghost who needs help cleaning the plants up. So with a quick cleanup, we do that and get ourselves the Flash Dash and the ability to phase through things, while also learning that she's been dead ever since the end of the war and has only been here through the power of the Trust Link. And with our help, she is able to rest. But we first must continue onward. I save another captive, get the achievement we need to clean up for breaking 100 Destructibles, while also collecting the roses required. With the recovery of all 4 roses, the machine is almost back in full operation, but something still seems to stop the machine from functioning from within the core. So with a quick phase through the barrier, it's boss time! A boss fight only struggle for a small portion, but accomplish it deathlessly anyway, while also discovering a dead body within the tech. Terrifying. With the task completed, I begin to leave, saving another prisoner on the way out, with me returning to the castle and being instantly hit in the head with another task. This time around, I'm tasked with fixing a machine within the mirror lake, so with no time to waste, I head off. Nothing of much interest happens until I reach the first clog. Once I unclog it, the map begins to flood, which will become the biggest pain in the entire region, having to deal with one mechanic: submarines. Essentially having my combat capabilities making ambushes harder and making exploration much more frustrating. But with that rant over, I save one more prisoner, unlock the achievement Wool Purge for defeating 1,000 enemies. I struggle in some areas, and I reach the second clog, fixing the issue within the mirror lake. But instead of leaving right off the bat, I decide to stay a little longer and up the count on freeing prisoners. Then I decide to dip out and head back to the headquarters, but it seems Robin won't allow us to, stating that we're not allowed to continue being a night witch. But we just refuse and not listen to her, which causes us to fight, which I struggle for a bit, but eventually I'm able to win against her. But despite my power, Robin has an ace in her sleeve, making us go unconscious, and while we're unconscious, we encounter a tree-like being and stating that it's dying. But before any more information is given to us, we regain our consciousness within the Undertake, while also receiving the achievement, the Underwater level, for accomplishing the mission. While exploring for my escape and in the middle of an ambush, I get the achievement Just In Case for amassing 10,000 shards. But outside of that, nothing really good happens until I leave and re-enter the Mirror Lake through a door I had found. We then find Irie again, but all that doesn't matter. All that matters are the damn slippers. Where can I buy them? I need to buy them in my life right the frick now. I will buy your entire stock. But with that, let's just skip that until I make it back to the castle. I receive one more mission to fight and defeat a man named Graf, someone we've encountered earlier near the start of the game, and someone who's challenging us to a duel within the Forge Fields. But with my endless bloodlust as a gamer and the idea that video games cause violence, I immediately head to the Forge Fields, fight an ambush, and find another Night Witch. I skip the dialogue, and we obtain Runage. I save another prisoner, struggle with some ambushes for maybe a bit too long, and find another buff plant, and meet face to face with Graf, which takes me several attempts, but eventually I'm able to get the killing strike. But of course he pulls off some weird stupid smoke bomb trick, and this will not be the final fight. Freaking coward. We've returned back to the base, and the main machine seems to be in full operation, but I decide to start exploring and working on some of the other achievements, finding more growth seeds, and finding more prisoners to save, while also finding a whole ass shipwreck. Yar, maybe sink the boats of wicked planks. Sorry. Wrong game. But we do get How Did It Get Here? I decide to go back to the practice range and try to beat the time challenge, and I do with great success, getting Never Surrender. Nice. And with the power of more exploring, I found a dog! This game is a 10 out of 10, the best game I've played ever. All games need a dog, otherwise I will call beta to break your kneecaps. But the dog must also be made of pure freaking evil, since I need him for the hardest achievement, and also saving the dog requires me to do the hardest ambush in the game so freaking far. But he's a good dog, so all is forgiven. So after fighting through that hell, we're finally able to send him back to the castle and get the achievement Good Boy Tistilla. I then have to fight Robin again. She rants on about something to do with power and the People's Lings, but I don't really care. Let's just get this fight over with. I win. But with her defeated again, I head back to the base and get handed the solar shield by the nerd, knowing that we'll need it so we can go up to the surface. Otherwise, I would turn to some crispy ash. So with the new tool, I head to the surface in an instant to go finish the fight I started with Graf and potentially the leader of the operation. Before I head out, however, I was informed by the nerd that I'm now able to infuse the beacons with the shards from the enemies, which is an achievement I'll need, but I don't start that till way later. I yapped to Yuppie on the way out while also putting in all the coins I had on me, and all the other coins I put into the machine from the playthrough. He begins telling us that we have an achiever soul, and he's damn right. But with how much we've done so far, he decides to gift us the secret scanner, which will help me significantly with finding the other coins and such. So with the new scanner, I abandon my original plan and head to the Giga Tree to start working in that area, which turns into a quick game of collecting coins and saving prisoners mostly, while I also spend a good chunk of time on a single parkour section to get a single card that I never use. The next section is the Mirror Lake, which is another section of hunting, which quickly turns into how the hell do I leave this place, which then turns into me going into the Underlake, which after solving a bit of a bomb puzzle, we obtain the second best card in the entire game, Armageddon. This card will be your trump card for a majority of the challenges, being able to annihilate groups of enemies and shred the health of enemies that somehow still stand in your way. But we'll get to that suffering later. But with that session done, I head back to the castle and with all the cards collected so far, and I'm able to upgrade the Malts all the way to level 4. Nice. I then head back to the forge field with my intention heading up to the surface this time around, but before we can reach it, we find Noreen again who wants to help us and gives us her spirit cap, which I will take as a sufficient payment instead of the slippers. But with that, we finally reach the annihilated and destroyed surface. With enough traveling, we reach the factory, and with the power of the kitty, more areas are accessible. But to get through most of these areas in the factory, I need 3 separate keys, level 1, 2, and 3. So with combat, puzzles, and struggling on an ambush for way too long, but in the process obtaining for the loot by killing 5 loot goblins, while also getting sucker punch for slashing a stunned enemy with the sword. I eventually obtain all keys required, is what I would like to say if I didn't struggle on a singular freaking puzzle. But with the L in my hand from the puzzle, I leave and head back, saving a prisoner on the way. I make it back, give the dog a reason to have some bloodlust with the kitty cat, and get Brave Boy Priscilla, while also getting the ability to redo the ambushes and go for those damn Radiant Suns and Frost Moons, which is what the next several hours turn into, with the amount I have at this moment being 3 Radiant Suns and 6 Frost Moons. Upon the journey, I saved 3 survivors, I obtained 11 Radiant Suns and 10 Frost Moons, a handful of Yuppie coins, and 1 Growth Seed, while also getting Magic Diagnosis for having more than 15 mana at once with the ability Mana Overload. Yippee! But after all that, I decided to throw my Rock Rain back at the puzzle one more time, and I actually solved it, with me actually collecting the keys required, while also collecting the final key being the factory boss key. But with that final key, I decided to take the boss head on, and I met face to face with the leader of this invasion, Calypso, an enemy I fought earlier with way more fury than before, and yet with my plan to end this fight without any violence becomes useless falling on deaf ears. So the fight starts. I'm mostly focused on Calypso, which causes Graf to get the drop on me, but on my second attempt, I'm able to become victorious, and I'm finally able to talk to them. But before anything happens, we hear a voice coming from the solar shield device, the device we were handed earlier, and from the other side is the damn nerd from earlier. But since I don't have time to listen to nerds, I just don't pay attention, but it's something about the Calypso being played and him being the actual mastermind of this invasion, I don't know. And to get my attention, he self-destructs the solar shield, locking us in the factory, never to return. But since me and Graf both had an understanding of disliking nerds, he decides to save me and get me back to the underground under the condition that I help save someone. Sorry, I'm not paying attention, I'm listening to the Miku music on repeat, so let's just get out of here. But it also seems like the nerd has got a plan on his own with Robin. I instantly head back to the base, and it seems like the nerd has just left, but he seems to have headed straight to the catacombs waiting for us. So we get handed the key and instantly start heading that direction as well. Once I'm in, the hunt begins for him. While on the way, I save a prisoner, find a cute creature, obtain an ugly ass key, while also finding the last growth seed and getting the achievement Green Food. But eventually we find the entrance to the enemy quarters, and with the current gear I have, I decide to head further in. No enemies seem to be within the area, but the lake has an ominous warning calling to me. I have to scream boss fight. But first the nerd shows up through a damn hologram. Fucking coward. And instead of fighting us himself, he seems to have given Robin some kind of dark energy and reversing the link where hatred is the power she has. And she seems far too crazy and mad to reason with, so we draw out our cards and the fight begins. But this fight is not an easy fight. I die over and over and over and over and over again. But with enough persistence, I'm able to squeak out a win just barely. And yet, the madness still holds her in control. But with her defeat, she phases out and we talk with the tree god again. And this time around, we learn a few things. First of all, the energy that we use the hex oil for our survival is breaking the life cycle that is death, using the dead as the source of hex oil, not letting death return to the tree. And if we want to survive, we must destroy the machine to fix the cycle and bring life back. I give a quick thumbs up and immediately head back to the machine to destroy it. But of course, the main leader of the council does not believe in anything I say and tries to stop us, but with the power of speedrunning, I make it back. With one last attempt, they try to stop me from destroying the machine, but it's all in vain, since I destroyed the main brain of it. But it seems that the end times are near, since the ground begins to break with a hellish creature breaking through. With an attempt to stop it from getting through, I break the chains that support the castle, making the castle fall upon it. We then wake up after the crash, with everyone believing in me now, knowing that the creature lies below us. We're only able to postpone the inevitability of doom for 3 years, and now I have the lives of everyone on my back, and if I'm able to kill this creature, all of this will end. We can live without the fear of death, tightening its grip around us every day. I have to. No, I need to save the people. I decided to bail out getting a different ending while also getting sometimes you just gotta know when to bail. But alright, let's actually do it. But before that, I make the impulsive decision to go for every other achievement before the final boss. First, starting with the Yuppie coins. Before that, I run into another ambush, complete it on my first try, and get the single-handedly best card in the entire game. Ghost Gun. With its homing capabilities, the ability to go through walls and its high DPS. But of course, my smooth brain self doesn't know that. God, please save me for my past self. But finally, with all the coins collected and spending them all on the machine, Lord Yuppie praises us for our determination and thanks us for playing the game and obtaining the achievement. This is an achievement. Thanks, game. After that, I focus more on the ambushing challenges while also powering the beacons amongst my travel, collecting 2 Radiant Suns and 3 Frost Moons. I also decide to keep Graf's promise and decide to go save Calypso, but I need to repair the solar shield first. But since my good guy Talos is a G, he's able to fix it with some crystal power. But on the way, I decided to go do one more ambush challenge, and that was the biggest mistake in my life. I always got hit, making the Radiant Sun almost impossible to attain, and my hope was slowly dwindling away. The Ghost Gun was my only savior against the dark despair of the challenge. With it by my side, the Radiant Sun was attained while also collecting 5 more Radiant Suns and 3 more Frost Moons. With that, I finally head out to save Calypso, which becomes easier with the new shield, and we obtain no hard feelings for saving her. After saving her in the power of the Ghost Gun, the remaining 5 Radiant Suns and 5 remaining Frost Moons become a cakewalk, allowing me to obtain 2 Fast, 2 Wicked for 27 speedy fights, and also obtain Untouchable for being hitless in all 27 challenges. With 6 more achievements I have to hunt. However, the majority of them are easy to get. Starting with, is this a good idea? For infusing 20 of the beacons, and I say it's a good idea. The next one I instantly go for is Armored, which requires me to try 8 different armors from the shop. And with my fat stacks of cash from the multiplier, it becomes a cakewalk and another achievement under my belt. Next one on the list is Take No Prisoners, which would have been easy if I can find where the final prisoner would be, but thank God the power of Google is here, since I resort to it, and you want to guess where the prisoner was? Near the flipping start of the game. But we finally save the final prisoner and obtain the achievement Take No Prisoners. I can also forgive the prisoner since he also gives us the ultimate Night Wish, which requires me to max out my Link level to level 20, and with this final piece, I have the final level needed. But with almost every other achievement obtained, I have 2 left. One of them for beating the final boss, and to get to them, we have to redo everything we've done since the Evil Robin fight. So after a quick speedrun, I make it back to the split choice, and this time around, I take the fight head on. With the ominous green lighting and the quiet surrounding, everything seems to be off. Until, how do I say this? Until the Hextinction emerges from beneath me, the final form of Robin, far and long gone from what she used to be. So let's set her free. With almost a close call, we're able to defeat her and let her finally rest with everything she has gone through, with the allies she's also fought during the war. Rest well, old friend. With that concluded, we get our last visit from the tree spirit, Gaia, telling us that her time has come. Her cycle has ended and now it's our turn to become a goddess at the balance between life and death, and getting the achievement, A Job for a Goddess, bringing the game to the end of its story. After the final credits, I have one more achievement left. An achievement I saved for the ages. An achievement that would question my own morals. An achievement that might throw everything I've done into the void. All my efforts gone in the blink of an eye. I'm an absolute cheater. With this faithful servant and imagination coming to an end, I would say I give this enchanted experience about a 6 out of 10 in Yuppie coins and difficulty, and an 8 out of 10 in the fun factor. But I would say, with its completely different style from the standard Metroidvania styles, it's such a breath of fresh air. If you're looking for some new Metroidvanias, I would give this game a try. With its cute art style, fun card mechanics, and decently challenging bosses, and challenges themselves, I would be confident in saying you might have some fun with this game. I also have nothing to really critique about this game as well. Nothing really bothered me through the entire experience, and I didn't encounter any bugs this time around. Thank God. Just a wholesome fun game, and with that, stay chill and watch some anime.